Hey, this is Crafty here. Welcome. Are you past the beginner stage on drums? Let's find out. Okay, so the fundamental parts of any instrument are really important. Nothing that you want to skip. So if you're feeling like that you're not a beginner because you've passed all of those stages, well then make sure you stay tuned because there might be something that you have missed, and if there wasn't, well, it's good to recap anyway. Okay, first on our checklist is you have to own your own instrument. If you don't own your own instrument, well, it's going to be hard to be a drummer at any stage of your level of ability because you don't have the instrument to firstly practice on, which is the most important. But what if somebody wants you to come along to a rehearsal or a gig? You won't have your drum kit. So you need your own drum kit. And while we're on owning your own instrument, well, you need to have these things. And also some carry cases for the drums wouldn't hurt as well. So get cracking if you don't have any of that. Number 2 on this checklist is general care for your instrument. So do you have a rag to wipe off the dust? Do you have a drum key? Cymbal felts on your cymbal stands. Super important. If your skins are getting really old, this snare one's not too bad, but it's getting worn a little bit. So replacing old skins is really important. Do you have some spare sticks in case you break one or drop one while you're playing? You need to have all of those things, general care. Next on the checklist is, can you name all of the parts of the drum kit? All right, I'm just gonna quickly run through them right now. So this is a kick drum or a bass drum. This is a snare drum, hi-hat cymbal, crash cymbal, tom, floor tom, and a ride cymbal. And you've also got the bell part of the ride cymbal as well, which there's a bell on those cymbals as well. Next on this checklist is, can you set up and pack up a whole entire drum kit? I remember being able to play a number of beats myself before I could actually do that. Yeah, so if you can't do that, get into it, learn how, and then you'll be past the beginner stage. Next on the list is knowing your different types of drum kits and actually being able to identify them and being able to say that you've played on them as well. So I guess mainly you've got your acoustic style drum kit, which I've got here, and I also own an electronic drum kit as well. There's also drum pads that you can get. That's getting into a bit more advanced stuff, but yeah, knowing your different kinds that are out there and also having a good play on them as well, being experienced, knowing what they feel like and sound like. So make sure you do that. Next on the list is knowing a bunch of different types of famous drummers. I'll just name some that just come straight off the top of my head. So we got John Bonham, you got Ringo Starr, you got Dave Grohl. Dave Grohl is actually a special one because he plays other instruments and sings as well. Taylor Hawkins, there we go, he's a drummer. So there's many others as well. What famous drummers do you know? If you don't know any, go check them out right now. Alright, next on our list are warm-up techniques. Now, if you've seen any of my beginner guitar videos, then you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. You've got to think of what are the muscles that you're going to be using for the activity, and then just engage them, get them feeling like, you know, they're ready for action. So the main things for drums are your hands and your legs, or your feet area, more so than just your legs. And in particular with your hands, it's mainly kind of at the wrists. So I would say just do some circles like this, and then the other way. Maybe pick up the sticks, but don't actually make any noise just yet. Just up and down, up and down. You could do some exercises just in the air, I guess.
This is my favorite part coming up right now.
And then just apply the same thing to your legs. You could also do some stretches as well. So yeah, just think, what are the muscles that we're going to be using? Stretch them out. Okay, then once your muscles are kind of ready for action, then the idea is that you play some stuff on the instrument that aren't songs and necessarily super fun, indulgent things to do yet. What you want to do is you want to just get your eye in. It's like dipping your toe in the water, just getting used to what's in front of you. So some great ways of warming up on the drum kit are doing single strokes, which is just one hit each. You can gradually get faster. And you don't have to limit yourself to one particular snare drum, for instance. You could go around. Next is double strokes. That's where you go 1, 2 with each hand. And same thing as the single strokes that I suggested, you can hit anything around the drum kit as well. One other thing that I like to do is I like to separate where my hands are. So for instance, I'll hit with my right hand on the floor tom and my left hand on the snare drum. The next step is a paradiddle. Now, paradiddle is a rudiment, and I believe that the definition of a rudiment is where it's just a different order of strokes.
What you talking about, Mr. D?
Okay, so here's the order of the paradiddle. So we'll go single strokes first, just one each, right, left, and then a double with the right, 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 and then it's basically just the opposite, left, right, left, left. And you do that in order over and over and over again. Now, single strokes, double strokes, paradiddles can all be done with the feet as well. And paradiddle. So yeah, doing things like paradiddles and so forth with your feet, it's kind of hard. Especially when they're just all on their own. You're used to playing your feet with your hands, but practicing them just on their own, isolate them, is just a fantastic way of just getting independence developed and just being more ready to rock, ready for action with whatever limb that you need to play with. And so if you've never heard this philosophy, whatever goes for the hands goes for the feet. So anything that you can play with your hands, you should be able to do with your feet, and vice versa. So get cracking. Okay, so just before we leave this warm-up subject, just know that you don't always have to be warming up on an actual drum kit. So you could use one of these things, it's called a practice pad. It'll just take the edge off sound-wise. And another thing that you could do is you could just try tapping your legs. If you don't have a practice pad, this is what I used to do before I owned one. And the only thing with that is you don't want to go too long and too hard, because you'll get these red patches right on your knees and you'll also potentially bruise yourself. So don't go too hard, but make sure that you get your warm-ups down before you can get past the beginner stage.
Marge, I can't feel my legs. I can't feel my legs!
Homer, those legs belong to the man behind you.
Okay, so next on the list is knowing and being able to use a bunch of different types of drumsticks. So I've got the normal sticks here. This is what a drum beat sounds like with my normal sticks. Okay, these are a set of rods. Basically, they are just a lot of small little sticks that are just grouped together, and they sound like this. bit lesser in volume. Okay, I've got another pair of sticks here. They're not sticks at all, they're brushes, and they sound like this. They're quite quieter. You notice that the bass drum sounds at a similar volume, but I have to try and not hit it as loud as I would with my sticks, sort of have to compensate. So yeah, I quite like brushes. They've got a bunch of other sounds and techniques that are most commonly used in jazz, but you can just get a bunch of different effects in whatever genre that you're playing. So if you're not over all those 3 types of sticks, then you're still a beginner. Get playing. Okay, next on this list is being able to control your speed / tempo. And I've got a metronome here to be able to give me a hand doing that, which if you've never heard of a metronome before, you can actually get them as apps on your phone, so you don't need to buy this special device that I've got. I've got it set to 105 BPM, which stands for beats per minute. I'm just going to try playing along. Whatever I play needs to be in time. Now if I start slowing down or getting faster, I'm getting out of time with that, which means that I am still a beginner because I can't keep the same pace. So practice along with a metronome and then you get past the beginner stage. Alright, so next on this checklist is gonna be revealed in the next video, the part 2. So go check that out. And just before I go, I gotta tell you about an ebook. It's a free download. It's called Actually, How Good Are You? Look, we all have to figure out at some point sooner or later, how are we doing on this musical journey that we're on? And this ebook has been designed so that you can basically tell yourself just by going through all of the steps in the ebook. It's really quite a fun way of being able to figure out where am I right now on this musical journey and where am I going. So I hope it can be a big help for you if you're just wondering, where do I fit in the food chain? How am I? What's next for me? So go check it out. Like I said, it's a free ebook and it's free to download. So what are you waiting for? Go download it. My name's Crafty. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I'll see you in the part 2.